Right now, over 10,000 AI agents are running on the internet with full access to emails, bank accounts, and corporate databases with zero authentication, security, or oversight. While many see this as an innovation, it is actually a ticking time bomb for CFOs and then compliance officers. Consider the story of OpenClaw. In late 2025, it became the fastest growing open source project in history, promising a free personal assistant that could manage your calendar, browse the web, and execute system commands. However, the Register quickly labeled it a security dumpster fire. The OpenClaw case highlights 4 critical risks inherent in unmanaged AI, remote code execution. Vulnerabilities allowed attackers to execute commands on any machine running the agent, providing a gateway to the entire company network. Malicious ecosystems, 12% of the tools in this marketplace were found to be malicious, designed specifically to steal data. Exposed credentials, over 10,000 instances were found publicly on the internet with API keys, OAuth tokens, and SSH private keys visible in plain text. Erratic behavior and the cost it is. Agents were caught spamming contacts or burning through hundreds of dollars in tokens just to perform simple tasks like checking the time. OpenClaw is just a symptom. The real problem is that anyone can now deploy autonomous agents with system-level access in minutes, bypassing IT policies. This creates massive liability. A breach of a 10,000 record database represents $5 million potential cost, not including GDPR or HIPAA fines. Without audit trails or logging, you might not even know a breach occurred. AI agents aren't the enemy, but uncontrolled deployment is. I have built and managed over 1,000 autonomous AI agents that handle compliance and financial reporting 24/7. None have leaked credentials or failed because they operate under a strict governance framework. Every action is validated, every output is checked, and every decision undergoes a compliance review with a complete audit trail. AI agents are the future, and your competitors are already deploying them. The question is, will your agents protect your organization or lead to your next breach disclosure? In this space, the companies that win won't be those who move the fastest, but those who move the smartest. If you are ready to deploy AI agents securely and responsibly, let's start that conversation. Now, I'm not here to tell you that AI agents are bad. They're not. In fact, they're extraordinary. I've personally built and managed over 1,000 autonomous AI agents. They run 24/7. They handle compliance monitoring, financial reporting, data analysis, and dozens of other enterprise functions. And not a single one of them has ever leaked a credential, exposed a database, or sent 500 spam messages to someone's wife. Why? Because every single agent operates under a governance framework that we've spent years developing. Every action is checked before it's executed. Every output is validated. Every decision goes through a compliance review. And if something looks wrong, the system doesn't crash. It corrects itself automatically. This isn't theoretical. This is production reality. Hundreds of services running right now. Years of battle-tested development, complete audit trails for every single action. How exactly does it work? Well, that's the conversation I'd love to have with you. The question isn't whether AI agents are the future. They are. But the question is, will your AI agents be the kind that protect your organization or the kind that appear in your next breach disclosure? Here's what I want you to take away from this. AI agents are not going away. Your competitors are deploying them right now. Your employees might already be using them. The question is whether you'll lead this transition with security and compliance built in from day one, or whether you'll be cleaning up a breach 6 months from now, wondering how it happened. In my next video, I'm going to break down the hidden costs that nobody talks about, why free AI agents actually cost 5 to 10 times more than secure to managed ones. The numbers will surprise you. If this resonated with you, if you are thinking about how to deploy AI agents securely in your organization, I'd genuinely love to hear from you. Drop me a message about what responsible AI deployment looks like for your specific situation, because in this space, the companies that win won't be the ones who move fastest. They'll be the ones who moved smartest. Yeah, what if I told you that the free AI agent your team downloaded last month is actually costing you 5 to 10 times more than a professional managed solution? I know exactly how that sounds. It sounds like a sales pitch. It sounds like marketing fluff, but it isn't. I ran these numbers myself, not out of curiosity, but out of necessity. When you are personally managing a fleet of over 1,000 autonomous AI agents, cost optimization is no longer an academic exercise. It is a matter of professional survival. CIA. What I discovered in that process genuinely shocked me. It wasn't just that the free tools were actually expensive. It was that almost nobody is actually counting the total cost of ownership. And, people see a price tag of 0 and stop calculating. But the true costs, the ones that hit your balance sheet 3 to 6 months down the line, those are devastating. Do you know right now, today, how much your organization is actually spending on AI API calls? Not what is budgeted, but what is actually being spent. Can anyone in your company provide a real-time answer? Most can't. Let's start with the visible cost, the ones that show up on the company credit card. To deploy an open source agent like OpenClaw, you need a server, a model, and time. Basic hosting might be $24 a month. That feels manageable, but then there are the tokens. Top tier models like GPT-4, Claude, or Gemini charge by usage, and most open source agents are tragically optimized for token efficiency. I saw an OpenClaw user whose agent burned 120,000 tokens just to check the time. That is roughly $20 in a single night for a task that should cost nothing. When your agent is running 24/7, burning through tokens while you sleep, those pennies turn into thousands of dollars of waste very quickly. However, those visible bills are just the tip of the iceberg. We have to address the invisible cost stack. These are the costs that never appear on an invoice but destroy your bottom line. Cost number one, labor. Setting up an unmanaged AI agent, and it takes 8 to 16 hours of high-level engineering. Maintenance and troubleshooting add another 6 to 10 hours monthly. At a standard engineering rate of 100 per hour, you're looking at up to $18,000 a year just to keep a free tool running. Cost number two, opportunity cost. Every hour an engineer spends babysitting a glitchy AI agent is an hour stolen from your actual product or competitive advantage. Cost number three, security incidents. The average global cost of a data breach is now $445 million. Even a minor leak of API keys or customer emails can easily cost $25,000 in legal reviews and remediation. Cost number four, regulatory fines. This is the one that keeps CFOs awake. GDPR violations can reach 4% of global annual revenue. If your AI agent processes personal data without proper controls, and most unmanaged agents do, you are one audit away from a catastrophic fine. Please. Cost number five, reputation. One headline about a data leak can destroy years of brand trust. If your free AI agent causes a multi-million-dollar breach, was it really free? At what point, does saving money become the most expensive mistake your company has ever made? So let's put these numbers side by side. On the left, the free approach. When you factor in hosting, API waste, engineering labor, and the high-risk exposure of unmanaged systems, a single free agent actually costs between $500 and $2,800 every single month. That isn't an opinion. It is simple arithmetic. On the right, we have a managed, secure AI agent platform. This typically costs between $99 and $99 per month. That price includes optimized prompts that don't waste tokens, built-in security, compliance audit trails, and dedicated hosting. You are essentially choosing between a predictable $9 monthly fee and a gamble on hidden costs that could exceed $25,000 in a single afternoon. The free option is almost always 2 to 10 times more expensive because its costs are hidden in the shadows. Now, I want to share the biggest lever for reducing AI costs, multi-model routing. Currently, most agents use one premium model for every single task. That is like hiring a world-class brain surgeon to put on a simple Band-Aid. You are paying premium rates for tasks that require zero complex reasoning. A smart system automatically routes tasks based on difficulty. Simple classification goes to a lightweight, cheap model. Complex reasoning goes to the premium model. Data formatting might not even need an LLM at all. By implementing this, we have seen organizations slash their AI spending by 40 to 60% without any loss in capability. If you aren't doing this, you are overspending every single hour of the day. Compliance is a competitive advantage, and free is the most expensive word in enterprise software. In my next video, I'll show you real case studies on how multi-model routing works in production. Let's find out where your money is going. I want to reveal the single most important discovery that saved us more money on artificial intelligence than anything else we have ever done in our history. It is a concept so fundamentally simple that once I explain the logic behind it, you are likely to be annoyed that nobody in the industry shared it with you sooner. We managed to reduce our total AI spending by a staggering 60%. We didn't achieve this by using less AI, and we certainly didn't do it by sacrificing the quality of our outputs or downgrading our service levels. We did it by being significantly smarter about which specific AI model handles which specific task. Every major AI company on the planet, the ones providing the models you use every day, is fully aware of this strategy, yet none of them will proactively tell you about it. Why? Because their business models depend on you using their most expensive, high-margin, flagship models for every single query you run, regardless of its actual complexity. Think of it this way. If a restaurant charged you fine dining, 5-star prices for a simple glass of tap water, you would walk out of that establishment immediately. So why are you currently paying top-tier GPT-4 or Claude 3.5 Sonnet prices for tasks that a model 20 times cheaper could handle just as effectively? Most organizations today pick one high-end model and apply it to everything. And imagine you own a hospital staffed with elite brain surgeons, general practitioners, and nurses. Now imagine forcing the brain surgeons to do everything, checking blood pressure, changing bandages, answering the phones, and filing basic paperwork. That is exactly what you are doing when you use a premium large language model for every AI task in your workflow. You are paying brain surgeon rates for Band-Aid work. Let's look at the literal cost of this inefficiency. A typical AI agent might spend $10 a day in a standard configuration. This might include $2.50 for email classification, $1.20 for calendar scheduling, several allows $80 for simple data formatting, and $5.50 for complex summarization and reporting. In reality, only that last $5.50 actually required the reasoning power of a premium model. You are overpaying for the other tasks by at least 4 times. This means 45% of your total AI spend is being wasted on tasks that simply do not need that level of intelligence. The alternative is what we call multi-model routing. Instead of a single funnel, you build an intelligent routing layer that classifies task complexity in real time before the task is even processed. Think of it as 3 distinct tiers. Tier 1, premium models for the top 20% of tasks requiring advanced reasoning, such as deep financial analysis, nuanced compliance interpretations, or creative problem solving. Tier 2, mid-range models for the 30% of tasks needing solid language understanding, but not genius level logic, such as drafting emails or summarizing standard documents. Tier 3, lightweight models or even simple rule-based systems for the 50% of tasks that are fundamentally simple, like status checks, pattern matching, and data formatting. Remember the story of the AI agent spending 120,000 tokens just to check the time. With proper routing, that task never even touches an LM. It is handled by a basic system call at zero cost. If only 20% of your workload truly requires the brain surgeon, what are you doing about the other 80%? Let's look at the numbers. After routing is implemented, email classification drops from $2.50 to $0.15, a 94% reduction. Calendar management drops from $1.20 to $0.10, and it's because it's just parsing structured data. Data formatting dropped from $80 to 0.02. Only the truly complex analysis stays at the $2.50 premium rate. Your total daily spend drops from $10.99 to roughly $4.57. That is $163 saved per month per agent. If you scale that to 100 agents, you are saving $16,300 every single month, or nearly $200,000 per year. We manage over 1,000 agents, so the implications of this math are staggering. However, while the concept is simple, the execution is incredibly difficult. Building a routing layer that accurately classifies tasks, maintains quality thresholds, handles model fallbacks when a lighter model fails, and continuously optimizes based on feedback is not a weekend project. It is a labor of years. You must ensure that sensitive data only flows to approved models and stays within compliant jurisdictions. You could try to build this yourself from scratch, but you would likely spend 18 months reinventing the wheel while burning 60% more budget than necessary every single month during development. Every month you delay is money burn. Go look at your AI API bill from last month and ask yourself how much of that was premium model pricing for Bandage tasks. I bet the answer will shock you. If you realize there is a massive optimization opportunity sitting right in front of you, that is where we should talk. I need to discuss something the AI industry is currently desperate to ignore. Something deeply uncomfortable that will ultimately decide which corporations survive the coming regulatory storm and which ones disappear. We are talking about uncontrolled autonomous AI agents. Currently, there is a frantic race happening as organizations rush to deploy AI as quickly as possible. The mantra is move fast, break things, and figure out compliance later. So while the pressure from boards, competitors, and the market is real, my experience managing over 1,000 agents has taught me one absolute truth. The companies that deploy the fastest are not the ones who win. The winners are those who deploy most responsibly. Would you put a new employee in charge of your entire company's email, calendar, databases, and financial systems on their very first day without any training, oversight, or HR policies? Of course not. Then why are you doing exactly that with AI agents? To understand the gravity of this, consider 3 non-hypothetical scenarios occurring right now. First, the rogue email agent. A company deploys an agent for customer service that lacks guardrails. A phishing email with a prompt injection tricks the agent into forwarding the entire customer database, e.g. 10,000 records, to a malicious actor. At an average of $150 per record in breach costs, that is a $1.5 million disaster caused by a lack of oversight. Second, the overzealous trading bot, a fintech firm's agent lacking constraints, executes rapid-fire trades during a market dip without a human confirmation step, losing $800,000 in 4 hours. Third, the compliance time bomb, an insurance company uses agents to process claims containing personal health data without audit trails or consent verification. 2 years later, a regulatory audit triggers a GDPR fine of 4% of annual revenue. These aren't just technical glitches, they are existential threats born from a lack of governance. The regulatory environment is tightening dramatically. The EU AI Act, the world's first comprehensive AI regulation, is already enforced, classifying systems by risk level and requiring rigorous human oversight and transparency documentation. Violations can lead to fines of up to 35 million euros or 7% of global revenue. 7%. Furthermore, GDPR, the Swiss Federal Act on Data Protection, FADP, HIPAA, and SOX apply to AI just as they do to humans. There are no exceptions for innovation. If your AI agent handles personal data without a clear audit trail or access controls, it isn't an innovation, it is a compliance violation waiting to be discovered. If you were audited tomorrow, could you prove exactly what data each agent accessed and why? If the answer is no, you have a problem that cannot wait. In my book, me and my relationship with 1,000+ AI agents, I argue that building AI without governance is like building a car without brakes. To avoid the crash, we use 5 battle-tested principles. Principle 1, never fully autonomous without guardrails. Every agent operates within constitutional boundaries. Actions are classified as safe, review required, or blocked. Principle 2, least privilege always. An agent only gets the access it needs. An email agent never sees the database. Principle 3, every action is auditable. We record what was done, when, and why. Essential for both learning and legal proof. Principle 4, fail safe, not fail open. If an agent hits an unexpected situation, it pauses and asks for help rather than improvising or guessing. Principle 5, human oversight is a feature. We don't replace judgment, we amplify it. High impact decisions always have a human checkpoint. Here is the secret: the move fast crowd misses. Compliance is not a burden. It is a massive competitive advantage. In regulated sectors like banking, insurance, or healthcare, trust is the only currency that matters. When a Fortune 500 company chooses an AI partner, they won't pick the startup that breaks things. They will pick the one with SOC2 compliance, audit trails, and GDPR-ready handling. Every competitor cutting corners on safety is actually doing you a favor, and they are creating headlines about AI failures that make your responsible approach look infinitely more valuable. Trust in AI is in short supply, which makes it the most valuable asset you can offer. When I started building autonomous agents, I was obsessed with capability. How much can they do? How fast? But the moment that changed everything for me was seeing an agent attempt an unauthorized action that could have caused real harm. I realized that building powerful AI is the easy part. Building trustworthy AI is the hard part. The AI agents you deploy today will define your company's reputation tomorrow. Will they be remembered as the ones that created value or the ones that created headlines? If you want to move smartly and responsibly, then let's have a conversation on LinkedIn. Over the last 4 videos, we've covered a lot of ground. We talked about why OpenClaw security failures should concern every enterprise leader. We exposed the hidden costs that make free AI agents the most expensive choice you can make. We showed how multi-model routing can cut AI spending by 60%. And we established why responsible AI isn't a burden. It's a competitive advantage. But I've been holding something back. Throughout this entire series, I've told you what matters and why it matters. I haven't told you how. Today, I'm going to pull back the curtain. Not all the way, because the specific implementation is what makes our ecosystem unique. But enough for you to understand what a truly secure enterprise-grade AI agent architecture looks like, what the components are, why they matter, and what's possible when you get it right. This is what the future of enterprise AI looks like. Most companies are trying to figure out whether they should use AI agents, but the real question isn't whether, it's how, and the how, that's where most organizations get it catastrophically wrong. Here come the 5 principles of secure AI architecture. What I'm about to describe are 5 principles that any enterprise-grade AI architecture must satisfy. Not the specific technology, not the implementation details, the principles. Because if your architecture doesn't satisfy these, you're building on sand. Principle 1, trust nothing by default. In the OpenClaw world, there's no verification at all. Anyone who can reach the agent can control it. A proper architecture starts from the assumption that every interaction must prove it's legitimate. Well, how we implement that, that's the part that took us years to perfect. Principle 2, verify every capability. Remember those that fail on malicious skills? In OpenClaw's marketplace, 12% of the total. In a secure architecture, nothing runs unless it's been vetted and verified as authentic. The mechanism for how you achieve that, well, that's where the expertise comes in. Principle 3, contain the blast radius. In OpenClaw, every skill has access to everything. Full file system, a full browser, full network. One compromise and everything is exposed. In a proper architecture, every agent is isolated. If one has a problem, the rest keep running safely. How deep does that isolation go? That's one of the things I'm most proud of in our system. Principle 4, and this is the one I'm most passionate about, classify before you execute. Every action an agent wants to take gets evaluated first. Safe, go ahead. Risky, hold for human review. Dangerous, blocked. This is what prevents rogue agent scenarios. How exactly do you classify actions in real time across hundreds of agents? That's a conversation I'd love to have with you. And principle 5, recover, don't crash. Every system eventually encounters something unexpected. The question is, does it fall over or does it handle it gracefully? Our ecosystem corrects itself, documents what happened, and gets stronger from every incident. The specific approach we use for that, let's just say it's patent pending for a reason. Now, here's where this gets really exciting, because when you have this foundation in place, you can do things that would be insane to attempt with uncontrolled agents. You can deploy hundreds of specialized agents, each doing one thing exceptionally well. An agent that monitors regulatory changes across 3 jurisdictions in real time. An agent that generates IBCS compliant financial reports in minutes instead of days. An agent that handles customer communications with full audit trails and compliance controls. An agent that continuously analyzes your competitive landscape and alerts you to threats and opportunities. This isn't a roadmap. This isn't a pitch deck. This is running right now over 550 autonomous agents, 97 production services, 0 security incidents. Not because we're lucky, because the architecture prevents them. And here's what makes this fundamentally different from OpenClaw or any other open source agent. Each agent is a specialist. It does one thing. It does it well. It does it safely. We call this the satellite strategy. Each agent is a self-contained satellite. If one has an issue, the others keep running. There's no single point of failure. There's no monolithic architecture where one bug takes down everything. Compare that to OpenClaw, where a single agent has access to your email, your calendar, your files, your browser, and your shell. One compromise and everything is exposed. That's not an architecture. That's a liability. I see a future where every enterprise and individual own hundreds maybe thousands of specialized AI agents, each handling a specific function: compliance monitoring, financial reporting, customer communication, market analysis, operational optimization, all running 24/7. That future isn't someday. That future is now. So do things properly.
Picture this scenario. It is 7:02 a.m. in the financial heart of Zurich. A CFO opens her morning briefing. It is not a cumbersome 47-page PDF that an associate spent all night frantically assembling. Instead, it is a real-time, fully interactive briefing that was compiled, analyzed, and formatted by her AI co-pilot while she slept. Revenue anomalies have been flagged with precision. Regulatory changes across 3 different jurisdictions have been highlighted. Cash flow projections have been updated automatically with yesterday's actuals, and competitive intelligence has been summarized into actionable insights. Everything is presented in an IBCS-compliant format, and every single data point is verified and auditable. She spends exactly 12 minutes reviewing the data, makes 2 vital strategic decisions, and sends 3 directives to her team. Meanwhile, her competitor's CFO is still waiting for last month's management report to arrive at noon, likely with errors. The gap between these 2 CFOs will become unclosable in the next 36 months. This is not a glimpse into a distant science fiction future. It is the reality we are building today. In the next 3 years, the gap between the CFO who utilizes an AI co-pilot and the one who does not won't just be a competitive advantage. It will be an absolute abyss. Which CFO will you be? The one making decisions at dawn with real-time intelligence, or the one still waiting for outdated numbers at midday? Let me be very clear about something that many AI companies get fundamentally wrong. The future of finance is not about AI replacing CFOs. That is a lazy, inaccurate narrative pushed by people who have never actually managed a P&L. The true future is AI amplifying what great CFOs already do. There are things AI does better than any human, such as processing 10,000 data points in seconds, monitoring global regulatory changes 24/7, detecting anomalies humans would miss, and generating compliant reports instantly. AI never forgets, never tires, and never has a bad day. Conversely, there are things humans do better than any AI: strategic judgment, stakeholder relationships, ethical reasoning, creative problem-solving, and reading the room in a board meeting. AI processes. Humans decide. AI monitors. Humans strategize. AI reports. Humans lead. This synergy gives the CFO superpowers. From a governance perspective, when AI handles the monitoring and reporting, it doesn't just save time. It creates a flawless audit trail. Every calculation is verified, and every report version is controlled. This makes the CFO more defensible, more compliant, and significantly more confident in every number they present to the board. In my book, Me and My Relationship with 1,000+ AI Agents, I describe the trust ladder, which is the journey every organization must take when adopting AI. Trust isn't assumed. It is earned step by step. The AI proves itself in shadow mode before receiving more responsibility. This is the opposite of how most companies deploy AI, throwing it in and panicking when things go wrong. At every rung of the ladder, the human remains in control. able to override or pull back. Trust without control is not trust. It is recklessness. There is also a unique, underappreciated opportunity in the DOC regulatory environment: Switzerland, Germany, and Austria. While many see the complexity of 3 jurisdictions and 200-plus yearly regulatory changes as a burden, I see it as a massive competitive advantage for AI co-pilot adoption. No human team can track all of this in real time, but an AI co-pilot can. It monitors changes in every language and jurisdiction, analyzing the specific impact on your business. While others use AI for marketing copy, DOC companies can use it for something far more valuable: regulatory intelligence and compliance automation. Here is my honest forecast for the next 36 months. In the first 12 months, early adopters will deploy co-pilots for specific functions like reporting and monitoring, seeing 40 to 60% time savings. Between months 12 and 24, the gap becomes visible. These companies will close books in days instead of weeks and catch compliance issues before regulators do. By months 24 to 36, the gap becomes structural. AI-augmented teams will have moved into predictive intelligence, real-time scenario modeling, and continuous risk assessment. The uncomfortable truth is that companies that haven't started by month 24 won't be able to catch up by month 36. The early movers will be accelerating, benefiting from a compounding advantage where every month of experience makes the system better and more customized. The window to lead is open now, but it will not stay open forever. In 3 years, will you wish you had started today? Or will you be the one that others are desperately trying to follow? Consider this stark reality. Your chief competitor's CFO received her strategic morning briefing today at exactly 7:12 a.m. It was a comprehensive, high-level overview covering revenue trends, cash flow projections, regulatory alerts, and competitive movements, all synthesized, perfectly formatted, and fully verified. It took her exactly 12 minutes to review the entire state of her global operations, leaving her the rest of the morning for high-level strategic planning. Meanwhile, what is your team currently doing? They are likely still frantically trying to close last month's books. Your management report might be ready by Thursday, maybe, if the consolidation numbers finally arrive on time from the regional offices. And when it does eventually arrive, it will be a 40-page mountain of complex tables that almost nobody reads past page 7. Your competitor is making critical decisions using today's data, while you are forced to make decisions based on last month's history. I am not exaggerating this competitive gap. Having spoken to dozens of CFOs across the DOC region, I see the same pattern repeating everywhere. Incredibly smart people and high-performing finance teams are drowning in manual reporting processes that were designed for the year 2010. For many organizations, a standard month-end close still takes between 8 and 15 business days, with the management report trailing another 3 to 5 days behind that. By the time the CFO actually sees the finalized numbers, the information is at least 3 weeks old. Strategic decisions are being made on information that is already stale. Furthermore, these reports are usually built manually in Excel by talented analysts who are forced to spend 70% of their time on data gathering and formatting, and perhaps only 30% on actual value-added analysis. When you realize that 70% of your top-tier financial talent is being wasted on copy-pasting and cell formatting, you realize that it isn't just an inefficient reporting process. It is a professional tragedy. According to research from McKinsey, finance teams still spend up to 80% of their time on data collection and only 20% on analysis. That ratio needs to flip immediately. Your best financial analysts should not spend the majority of their day on tasks that a machine could do better, faster, and with 0 errors. This is entirely solvable, and not through a $1 million consulting engagement that takes 6 months to implement. Transformation can happen in just 30 days. Let me quickly walk you through the practical, weekly, step-by-step journey. Week 1. Data integration. Week 2. Pattern recognition. Week 3. Formatting and verification. Week 4. The briefing engine. I want to emphasize the importance of IBCS. This isn't just a formatting preference. It is a strategic advantage. When a CFO presents IBCS-compliant reports to a board, they no longer waste time explaining the format or the legend. The conversation shifts instantly from, "What am I looking at?" to, "What should we do about it?" This represents a massive upgrade in the quality of strategic dialogue. When these reports are generated, formatted, and verified automatically every single day, you create a level of reporting discipline that most companies can only dream about. Look at the transformation. Daily intelligence instead of monthly lag. Continuous close instead of a 2-week scramble. Analysts doing real analysis instead of formatting spreadsheets. Most importantly, board preparation shifts from a 3-hour argument over which numbers are correct to a 30-minute strategic review. This isn't just an incremental improvement. It is a fundamental step change in how a finance function operates. It allows you to catch anomalies in real time instead of discovering them weeks too late. I know you may wonder if this works for your specific data, your legacy systems, and your unique reporting requirements. That is a fair question. And the only honest way to answer it is to see it for yourself. Compare it to what you are receiving now, and decide for yourself whether this transformation is worth 30 days of your time. This technology is already built, proven, and running within our ecosystem. You wouldn't be building from scratch. You'd be customizing something that is already battle-tested. Every day you wait is another day your best talent is being wasted on tasks machines can do better. What is that delay costing your organization in lost opportunities and wasted talent? The window to lead is open now. Start tomorrow. It is Q4, and the ESG reporting deadline is exactly 6 weeks away. Somewhere in your organization, a dedicated team of 4 to 6 senior professionals has just been abruptly pulled from their regular responsibilities to manage what I call the annual fire drill. They are currently scrambling to collect fragmented data from 12 disparate departments, environmental metrics from facilities, social data from HR, governance records from legal, and supply chain disclosures from procurement. None of these departments use the same systems, the same data formats, or even the same definitions. Spreadsheets are flying back and forth via email. Version control is a total fantasy. And a single calculation error discovered in week 4 might invalidate 3 entire sections of the final report. Suddenly, the deadline moves from comfortable to total panic overnight. Last year, 73% of Dutch companies reported that ESG reporting was not just an inconvenience, but a significant operational burden. And the situation is only intensifying. With CSRD, EU taxonomy, and SFDR, reporting requirements are expanding annually, deadlines are tightening, and the penalties for getting it wrong are getting steeper. If your ESG reporting is an annual fire drill that consumes your best talent for 6 weeks, what is the actual cost of your compliance? I am not talking about the filing fee. I am talking about the real hidden costs that never appear in a budget. Let's break down the math. You are pulling 4 to 6 senior people off their actual roles for 6 to 8 weeks. That represents 24 to 48 person weeks of lost productivity. In the DACH region, at senior staff salary rates, that equates to roughly CHF 150,000 to 400,000 in diverted salary costs alone. Then you must add the external consultants, which can run between CHF 50,000 and 200,000 depending on complexity. Finally, consider the error correction. When working manually under extreme pressure, mistakes are inevitable. Each significant correction can cost between CHF 20,000 and 100,000 when you factor in the restatement, re-audit, and formal regulatory notification. Most importantly, consider the strategic projects that are currently delayed because your top performers were busy hunting down carbon emission data across a dozen disconnected spreadsheets. You budget for the consultants, but do you budget for the 48 person weeks of lost momentum? Now, imagine a fundamentally different approach. Continuous ESG compliance. Instead of collecting data once a year in a panic, the data is collected every single day, automatically, from every relevant source. It is validated as it arrives and formatted as it is stored. In this model, the annual report is no longer a 6-week ordeal. It is a single button press. The report is simply a snapshot of what the system already knows and has already verified. This means you are compliant every single day of the year. When a regulator calls unexpectedly, and they do, you don't panic. You pull the current report and send it that same afternoon, complete with full audit trails, data lineage, and total confidence. There is also a massive competitive angle that most companies miss entirely. When you are continuously compliant, you can respond to tender processes that require ESG documentation in days instead of weeks. You can answer investor inquiries with current data rather than last year's stale numbers. You can proactively share progress with stakeholders instead of defensively reacting to their questions. Regulators get better data, investors get transparency, customers get faster responses, and your board gets continuous visibility. Most importantly, your team gets to stop dreading the fourth quarter. The regulatory wave currently building is unlike anything we have ever seen. The Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive, CSRD, is expanding to cover 50,000 companies across Europe, many for the first time. The EU taxonomy requires detailed classification of every economic activity, while the SFDR demands rigorous sustainability disclosures. These are no longer optional. They carry severe financial penalties. Companies still relying on manual fire drills will simply break under this administrative load. However, companies with continuous compliance in place will barely notice the change. For them, adding a new framework is merely a configuration update, not a 6-month crisis. If you recognized your own organization in the annual fire drill description, you are not alone. You don't have to solve this from scratch. We've built an ESG compliance satellite that handles exactly this transformation. Continuous data collection, automated validation, and multi-framework reporting. It is already running and proven in production. The companies that turn ESG compliance from a burden into an advantage won't just survive the regulatory wave. They will ride it. Will yours be one of them? The average company currently wastes 42% of its total marketing budget. This isn't just a matter of slight underperformance or minor optimization opportunities. We are talking about literal waste, money that produces absolutely zero measurable business outcomes. If I told a CFO that 42% of their IT infrastructure budget was being flushed away, they would launch a comprehensive audit tomorrow. If 42% of a factory's raw materials were discarded at the end of the day, someone would be fired immediately. Yet, in the world of marketing, this level of waste is frequently tolerated, filed under the vague heading of brand awareness, and rarely questioned with the same financial rigor as other departments. The most fascinating part is that the technology to eliminate the majority of this waste already exists today. AI has the power to identify which 42% of your spend is destined to fail before you actually spend it. Most companies, however, continue to throw money at broad campaigns, hope for the best, and call it strategy. To fix this, you first need to understand the 5 specific places where this waste occurs. These are detectable and preventable through the right AI orchestration. First is wrong audience, targeting people who have zero intent or need for your product. Second is wrong timing, reaching potential customers when they aren't in a buying window. Third is wrong message, delivering creative that doesn't resonate with the specific psychological triggers of the segment. Fourth is wrong channel, spending on platforms where your audience isn't active or attentive. Finally, no attribution, having no clear data on which touchpoints actually led to a conversion. When you add these up, you find your 42% waste. Every single one of these types is preventable. When I speak about AI marketing orchestration, I am not talking about using AI to generate simple blog posts or generic ad copy. I am talking about marketing intelligence, the brain behind the budget decisions. It is about making every dollar accountable, every campaign optimized in real time, and every result measured with precision. What if your CMO could walk into every board meeting and state exactly what was spent, what it produced, and precisely where the next quarter's investment should go? This fundamentally transforms the CFO-CMO relationship. Marketing spend is often the largest unaccountable budget line in a company. AI orchestration turns it into a financial discipline tool. This transformation allows the CFO to see real numbers and real accountability. Every marketing dollar is tracked from initial spend to pipeline to final revenue. This shifts marketing from a cost center that the CFO simply tolerates during growth periods into a high-performance growth engine that the CFO actively champions. When marketing becomes predictable, it changes the entire planning process for the organization. Revenue forecasting becomes more accurate, budget allocation becomes truly data-driven, and board presentations include marketing ROI with the same rigor as operational or production metrics. For companies operating in the DACH region, Switzerland, Germany, and Austria, marketing complexity is significantly amplified. You aren't just marketing in one language. You are often operating in German, French, Italian, and English simultaneously. Each of these markets has vastly different preferences, platform behaviors, and cultural nuances. A consumer in Zurich responds differently than one in Vienna. What converts in Munich might fall completely flat in Basel. A human team, no matter how talented, cannot manually optimize campaigns across 4 languages and multiple microsegments in real time. An AI marketing orchestrator handles this complexity natively, learning the nuances of each specific market and adapting messaging and timing for every segment across all countries at once. In this sense, the complexity of the DACH market makes AI orchestration even more valuable. The bigger the complexity, the bigger the optimization opportunity. If you are looking at your marketing budget and wondering where that 42% is going, it is time for a framework-driven audit. I am offering a marketing waste audit framework that helps you identify these 5 waste types within your own organization. This is a diagnostic tool your team can use immediately to find the leaks in your budget. If you are interested, DM me the word growth on LinkedIn. I will send you the framework so you can assess your situation, regardless of what technology you choose to implement later. In our next topic, I will explain why building AI capabilities from scratch is the most expensive mistake a company can make in 2026, and show you the smarter alternative. 42% of your budget is currently producing nothing. What is that silence worth to your bottom line? The technology to stop the waste is here. It is time to use it. Every company that has attempted to build its own AI agent ecosystem from scratch shares one common, painful realization. They wish they hadn't. I have watched this specific pattern repeat dozens of times across the corporate landscape. A leadership team gets excited about the potential of artificial intelligence, approves a significant budget, and then either hires a new team or, more frequently, asks their existing IT staff to figure it out. 6 months later, they have a prototype that looks impressive in a controlled demo, but consistently breaks in a production environment. 12 months later, the budget has been doubled, the delivery timeline has been pushed back, and the original team lead has often quietly resigned. By the 18-month mark, they might have something that technically functions, but it lacks compliance requirements, has no audit trails, possesses no governance framework, and offers no clear path to the return on investment, ROI, promised in the original business case. According to Gartner, the failure rate for custom AI projects is a staggering 85%. These projects don't just underperform, they fail to deliver any measurable ROI. Even those that eventually succeed typically take 2 to 3 times longer and cost 2 to 4 times more than originally budgeted. Would you accept an 85% failure rate for any other major investment your company makes? Whether it is a product launch, a factory expansion, or a high-stakes acquisition, that level of risk would be deemed unacceptable. Why then is it tolerated for AI? The decision to build from scratch versus customizing a proven platform is ultimately a financial one, and the math is not even close. On the build side, you are looking at 12 to 24 months of development, a cost of 1.5 to 4 million Swiss francs, and that massive 85% failure risk. On the customized side, you can reach production in 30 to 45 days at a fraction of the cost, using a foundation that is already battle-tested for security and compliance. When you build from scratch, you aren't just building the AI. You are building the security layer, the governance framework, the audit system, the compliance checks, and the self-healing monitoring from zero. When you customize our proven platform, you are leveraging a foundation that has been refined through the deployment of over 550 agents. And by the time you read this, likely over 1,000 production-ready autonomous agents. Beyond the visible development costs, there are hidden expenses that rarely make it into the initial business case but often kill projects. First is talent. Finding engineers who understand AI, enterprise architecture, and security in the dock market is incredibly difficult. You are looking at CHF 180,000 to 250,000 per engineer, and you need a team of at least 5. Second is maintenance. Building is the easy part. Maintaining is the expensive part. Models change, APIs break, and security threats evolve. You should budget an additional 30 to 40% of the initial build cost annually just for maintenance. Third is opportunity cost. Every month your team spends debugging an authentication layer is a month they aren't delivering business value. Finally, there is the cost of failure. When a 2 million franc project delivers nothing, it creates organizational trauma that can set your AI adoption back by years. When your custom build fails, who presents that write-off to the board? The smarter alternative is our satellite architecture. Think of it like a computer's operating system. You don't build the OS just to run an application. Our ecosystem is the secure, compliant operating system, and our satellites are production-ready applications specialized for specific business needs. We offer 4 key satellites: the CFO Intelligence Briefing, delivering daily strategic signals instead of monthly lags; the ESG Compliance Engine, turning annual fire drills into continuous automated compliance; the Marketing Orchestrator, eliminating the 42% budget waste through precise intelligence; the Foundation Fleet, a secure environment for managing 1,000 autonomous agents. These aren't just demos or PowerPoint slides. They are production systems running real workloads with established security protocols. We offer a 30-day pilot process to move from conversation to production with absolute clarity. At the end of 30 days, you have a definitive answer. If it works, we scale. If it doesn't, you have invested only a fraction of the time and capital required by a custom build. No 18-month gamble, just clarity. The future of enterprise AI is not about who builds the most powerful agents from scratch, but about who builds the most trustworthy, secure, and accountable ones. The companies that win will be those smart enough to customize what is already proven and start generating value immediately while their competitors are still stuck in planning meetings.
Imagine this scenario. Your CTO walks into a high-stakes board meeting radiating excitement. He's been building prototypes with the latest industry favorites, e.g. LangGraph, Crew AI, AutoGen, or whatever the framework of the month happens to be. He presents a polished demo. The agents appear to work flawlessly, answering complex questions and processing internal data with ease. The board members are genuinely impressed for about 12 minutes. Then, the CFO asks the first real grounded question. What happens when an agent makes a critical mistake with customer financial data? Where exactly is the audit trail to trace that error back to its source? Sudden silence. The compliance officer follows up with a second question. How do we prove to regulators like FINMA that this autonomous system is operating strictly within defined regulatory boundaries at all times? An even longer, more uncomfortable silence follows. Finally, the board chair asks the third question. If this agent does something entirely unexpected at 2 a.m. on a Saturday, who is ultimately accountable? What failsafe stops it, and what system records exactly what happened? The CTO can only offer a weak response, Well, we are planning to build those features eventually. This illustrates what I call the orchestration gap, the vast space between what technical AI frameworks can do and what enterprise governance requires. This gap is the silent killer of AI initiatives. It isn't the technology that fails, it's the governance. Your AI framework might build impressive demos, but can it survive 15 minutes of rigorous board-level scrutiny from your CFO, legal counsel, and compliance officer? Currently, there are 354 companies in this space with $228 billion in funding, yet most of them cannot answer these three basic board questions. There are 5 fundamental questions that every board will eventually ask about any AI agent deployment. As of today, no major framework answers them natively. Not LangGraph, not CrewAI, not Google's ADK or Microsoft's agent framework. These frameworks are designed to execute tasks, not to handle the complex layers of governance, compliance, accountability, and self-healing. That is a completely different layer of architecture, one that most companies don't realize they need until they are sitting in that board meeting watching their CTO sweat under pressure. Layer 1 consists of foundation models like GPT, Claude, Gemini, and Llama. This is raw intelligence, and it is a commodity. Every company has access to it, so there is no competitive advantage here. Layer 2 consists of frameworks like LangGraph and CrewAI. These allow you to build agents that execute tasks. While important, these are also becoming commoditized. Everyone can use them, as evidenced by their tens of thousands of GitHub stars. Layer 3 is where the real value lies, orchestration and governance. This is the layer that most companies skip, yet it is the layer that determines everything. It answers whether you can trust the outputs, prove compliance, manage a fleet of 50 agents or more without descending into chaos, and survive a board audit. This layer does not exist in any open source framework. You cannot pip install governance or npm install compliance. It must be meticulously engineered, tested, and proven to work at a production scale with hundreds of agents operating 24/7 in regulated environments. While the AI agent orchestration market is projected to reach $8.5 billion by 2026, almost all of the investment is currently being poured into layers 1 and 2. Almost nobody but me is building layer 3, which creates a massive blind spot for all the enterprises. For a CFO, this matters most. When Gartner predicts that 58% of business functions will use AI agents for at least one process daily by 2028, they aren't talking about simple chatbots. They are talking about agents managing financial data, supply chain logistics, and HR records. Companies deploying these agents without a robust governance layer will end up in the news, not for their innovation, but for their incidents and fines. The companies that figure out layer 3 first will hold the most defensible competitive advantage because they will have the infrastructure that makes AI enterprise safe. An AI error without an audit trail is a financial reporting risk. An agent operating outside regulatory boundaries is a regulatory risk. Agents running across multiple clouds without unified governance is an operational risk. Most CTOs will claim the framework handles it because it handles technical execution, but governance, audit, and accountability are the parts they hope no one asks about until the meeting starts. CFOs who understand this will demand governance as a prerequisite, ensuring layer 3 exists before layer 2 ever goes into production. The best time to close the orchestration gap is before someone asks you why it exists. Most companies experimenting with AI agents today operate with 3 or 5. The particularly ambitious ones might reach 10. I am currently running 550 agents every single day in full production, operating simultaneously. I am going to reveal something the industry rarely discusses, something that fundamentally shifted my entire understanding of what AI agents are actually capable of. When you transition from 5 agents to 50, things inevitably get complicated. But when you move from 50 to 500, something completely different happens. Things get simple suddenly, but they get simple in a way that feels almost magical. In my book, Me and My Relationship with 1,000 Plus AI Agents, I describe this phenomenon as emergent reliability. It is the counterintuitive reality where a system comprised of hundreds of hyper-specialized agents becomes more reliable, more self-healing, and more trustworthy than a system with just a handful of generalist agents. Everyone assumes that more agents automatically mean more chaos. The reality is exactly the opposite. Every company with 5 AI agents thinks scaling to 50 will be 10 times harder. But what if I told you that scaling to 550 actually makes everything easier? To understand why, we must look at the three distinct phases of scaling AI. Phase 1 is the fragile phase, 1 to 10 agents. This is where every company starts. Each agent is a generalist trying to handle multiple complex tasks. If one agent fails, an entire business function goes dark. There is no backup, no specialization, and zero redundancy. It works in a controlled demo, but it consistently fails in a production environment. Phase 2 is the chaotic phase, 10 to 100 agents. I call this the valley of death. This is where agents start stepping on each other's toes. They compete for the same computing resources, produce conflicting outputs, and create a management nightmare. Without robust orchestration and layer 3 governance, this phase is unbearable. Most companies hit phase 2, experience the resulting chaos, and incorrectly conclude that AI agents don't work at scale. They are wrong. They simply lack the governance layer required to cross the valley. Phase 3 is the emergent phase, 100 agents and beyond. With a proper governance infrastructure, the system undergoes a qualitative transformation. Agents become hyper-specialized, doing one thing perfectly. If one agent fails, 3 others are already positioned to cover its function. Self-healing becomes an automatic background process. Audit trails are comprehensive because the agents are monitoring each other. In the production-grade AI ecosystem, 70% of the architecture is dedicated to governance, not execution. This often surprises people, but it shouldn't. Would you fly on an airplane where 70% of the systems were dedicated to the mechanics of flying and only 30% were dedicated to safety? Or would you want it the other way around? When you reach this massive scale with proper governance, 4 emergent properties appear that you simply cannot design into a small system. First is collective memory. The agents share a unified knowledge base of successes and failures. If one agent discovers a more efficient way to process a Swiss regulatory update, every other relevant agent in the 550 agent fleet knows it instantly. Second is anti-fragility. The system doesn't just resist shock, it gets better because of it. Every error is captured, analyzed, and used to strengthen the governance protocols automatically. Third is cross-domain insight. Because hundreds of agents are monitoring different data streams, finance, ESG, marketing, and legal, the system starts surfacing correlations that no human or individual agent was programmed to find. These properties are like biological systems. A single neuron is simple and limited. 1 billion of them create consciousness. Scale, combined with strict organization, creates something qualitatively different. What if the AI capabilities your company desperately needs don't exist in any individual agent, but emerge naturally when you reach the right scale with the right governance? When you adopt a platform that already operates at this scale, you aren't starting from zero. You are plugging into an ecosystem that has already achieved phase 3. The emergent properties, the self-healing, and the proven governance already exist. You benefit from the institutional AI knowledge of 550 agents on day 1. Compare that to building your own 5-agent system from scratch. You would be stuck in phase 1. You would need years and millions of dollars to reach the reliability that an established ecosystem provides out of the box. Having agents that have been running, learning, and improving autonomously is a competitive advantage that cannot be replicated quickly, no matter how much you spend. Thinking small in AI isn't just a missed opportunity, it's a structural risk. Look at this landscape. Google's full-stack AI ecosystem is genuinely impressive, featuring Gemini 3 Flash, Gemini 3 Pro, and Gemma for lightweight models. They offer Veo 3.1 for video generation, Stitch for UI design, Whisk for image prompts, and Google Vids for video creation. Their developer tools include the Gemini CLI for coding, Jules for asynchronous coding assistance, and Anti-Gravity, an AI-powered IDE. They've also launched the Google ADK for building scalable agents, the A2A protocol for agent-to-agent communication, and Notebook LM for research. And that's not even a complete list. Microsoft has a comparable stack with Azure AI Foundry, Copilot Studio, and their new agent framework designed to replace AutoGen, all deeply integrated into Office 365, Teams, and Dynamics. Meanwhile, AWS offers Bedrock agents with enterprise-grade security, VPC isolation, and cloud formation automation. We have 3 tech giants, each spending tens of billions of dollars annually on AI, offering a full stack of tools from models to frameworks to deployment infrastructure. But here's the critical question that nobody in the industry seems to be asking. If Google, Microsoft, and AWS give you all the parts, who exactly assembles, tests, and certifies the aircraft? Google gives you over 20 AI tools. Microsoft gives you another 15. AWS offers a dozen more. But who turns those 50 individual parts into an aircraft that is safe to fly over your enterprise? The answer might surprise you. Nobody. Consider a parallel in aviation. Rolls-Royce makes world-class jet engines. Honeywell makes world-class avionics. Collins Aerospace produces flight control systems. And Safran builds landing gear. However, nobody flies on a Rolls-Royce engine. You fly on a Boeing or an Airbus. Why? Because someone must assemble those world-class parts into a certified aircraft. Someone has to integrate them, test them together, certify that the whole system is safe, monitor it in operation, and take responsibility if something goes wrong. That is the role of Airbus or Boeing. They don't necessarily make the best engines, they make the best aircraft. The difference is everything. Google, Microsoft, and AWS are the Rolls-Royces and Honeywells of the AI world. They make incredible world-class parts. But they are not assembling and certifying the aircraft. They sell you engines, avionics, and landing gear. Integration, certification, governance, and operational safety, that remains your problem. For a CFO, this analogy is perfect. In aviation, nobody questions why you need an Airbus. Nobody says, why don't we just buy a jet engine and build our own plane? That would be insane. The certification alone takes years. The integration expertise is decades in the making. The safety systems are the most complex part of the entire aircraft. Yet in AI, companies do exactly that. They buy Google's engine and Microsoft's avionics and attempt to build their own aircraft without certification, integration expertise, or safety systems. Then they are shocked when it fails to fly safely. Would you fly on a plane assembled by amateurs using Rolls-Royce parts? Then why would you trust your enterprise financial data to an AI system assembled by your IT team using Google parts? Big tech excels at core competencies. Google at models, Microsoft at enterprise integration, and AWS at infrastructure. But none of them provide the orchestration, governance, and compliance layer that turns those parts into a certified enterprise-safe system. Crucially, they don't want to provide that layer. It is not their business model. Google wants you to use Gemini tokens. Microsoft wants you deeper in Azure. AWS wants more compute hours. The governance layer that sits on top is a different business entirely. One that requires being vendor neutral. Something important is happening that most leaders don't understand yet. Google just released their A2A protocol for agent-to-agent communication, and Anthropic has launched MCP, the Model Context Protocol. These are attempts to standardize how agents talk to each other and connect to tools. They are essential infrastructure. A2A lets agents built with different frameworks discover and communicate. MCP standardizes connections to data sources. Together, they create a universal language for AI. But here's the truth. Protocols define how agents communicate, but they do not define what agents are allowed to communicate. They don't enforce rules for when agents disagree. They don't create accountability for decisions, and they don't generate compliance documentation. If you are evaluating AI platforms right now, don't just ask which vendor has the best LLM engine. Ask, who is going to certify my aircraft? Who integrates, governs, and takes responsibility for the whole system operating safely with your enterprise data? That is the only question that truly matters for the future of your organization. I want to discuss a critical topic that is almost entirely ignored in AI marketing, yet it is the single factor that determines whether your AI investment succeeds or fails. The science underneath the system. Currently, hundreds of companies are selling AI agent solutions. They all offer impressive demos, slick marketing, and promises of transformational outcomes. But here is the uncomfortable truth. Many of them are nothing more than thin wrappers around a large language model, LLM, with a fancy interface. How many of these platforms are grounded in decades of academic research on multi-agent systems, reinforcement learning, and decision theory? The difference is far from academic. When your AI system is handling sensitive financial data, making autonomous compliance decisions, or generating reports destined for government regulators, it seems to work as a dangerous standard. In an enterprise environment, you require provable reliability. Provable reliability is born from mathematical foundations, not marketing claims. If you are evaluating a vendor, ask them to explain the mathematical foundations of their reliability claims. Are they building on hard science, or are they simply hoping the underlying LLM gets it right this time? There are 4 specific fields of computer science that should form the foundation of any enterprise-grade AI agent system. Understanding these pillars in plain language will help you see why they are essential for your business survival. Pillar 1, multi-agent systems, MAS theory. This is the science of how multiple autonomous entities interact to solve problems that are too large for a single agent. It isn't just about having many agents. It's about the mathematical coordination between them. In an enterprise, MAS ensures that your finance agent, your legal agent, and your operations agent don't work at cross purposes, but instead function as a cohesive, optimized unit. Pillar 2, reinforcement learning with human feedback, RLHF. This is how agents learn from your best people. It isn't about simple programming. It's about creating a feedback loop where the AI observes human experts and refines its decision-making based on their high-level judgment. This ensures that the agent doesn't just act smart, but acts in alignment with your company's specific professional standards. Pillar 3, constitutional AI and value alignment. This field focuses on embedding a set of non-negotiable laws or a constitution within the AI's core logic. Unlike simple prompts that an LLM can ignore through jailbreaking or hallucinations, constitutional AI provides hard mathematical boundaries that the agent cannot cross. It is the definitive answer to the question of how to keep autonomous systems safe and ethical. Pillar 4, decision theory under uncertainty. This is perhaps the most important for a CFO. Traditional software provides binary outputs. Decision theory allows an AI to quantify its own uncertainty. For a CFO, this is the difference between an AI that blindly says revenue will be CHF 12.3M and one that provides a sophisticated analysis. Revenue will be CHF 12.3M with a 95% confidence interval based on current data, though this projection is sensitive to 3 specific assumptions I have flagged for your strategic review. Which of those 2 would you trust with your quarterly forecast? The signals of a foundation-based platform are clear. They provide mathematical guarantees rather than vague explanations. They offer defined boundaries instead of unlimited potential. They provide measurable reliability metrics rather than just impressive demos. When evaluating any vendor, ask this one question: what happens when the AI is wrong? If they cannot provide a detailed answer regarding failure detection, error containment, and automated recovery procedures, they haven't done the science. They are simply hoping the LLM doesn't hallucinate, and hope is not a professional strategy. Finally, consider the role of intellectual property. While the academic foundations of MAS or decision theory are public knowledge, the specific application of these sciences to enterprise governance is novel and often patentable. How you combine these theories into a production-ready system with 550-plus agents, self-healing protocols, and IBCS-compliant reporting is where true innovation lives. Our patent portfolio covers these novel applications because they are the secret sauce of a production-grade platform. This matters to your evaluation because a platform with patent-protected innovations cannot be easily replicated by a competitor who simply reads the same research papers. It creates a defensible moat for your organization. If you could choose between 2 AI platforms, one with patent-protected innovations and another one using open-source frameworks that anyone can copy, which one would you choose? The answer should be always the same. In the world of business strategy, there is a fundamental concept known as a moat. Popularized by Warren Buffett, it describes the structural barrier that protects a company's competitive advantage from being eroded by competitors. In the modern era, a great product can be cloned. A strong brand can be challenged by a disruptive newcomer. Even proprietary technology can be replicated given enough time, capital, and engineering talent. However, a compliance moat is fundamentally different. It is not just a piece of software. It is the unique synthesis of technology, rigorous process, institutional governance, immutable audit trails, established regulatory relationships, and specialized knowledge built over years of production-grade operation. It is a compounding asset that is almost impossible for a competitor to replicate quickly. The defining truth of the AI era is this: the company with the deepest compliance moat wins. It is not necessarily the fastest company or the one with the cheapest solution that survives the next decade. It is the most trusted. Over the course of this series, we have explored the entire AI agent landscape, from catastrophic security failures and hidden operational costs to the orchestration gap, the advantage of scale, the academic foundations of the technology, and the complexities of the vendor ecosystem. Today, we tie all of those threads together to define what a true compliance moat looks like. This is the competitive edge that will separate the leaders from the laggards in the enterprise AI space. While Google has a technology moat, Microsoft has a distribution moat, and Apple has a brand moat, you must ask yourself, what is your moat? If you do not possess a compliance and governance moat, in the eyes of a regulator or a cautious board, you don't have a moat, at all. A robust, enterprise-grade compliance moat consists of 7 distinct layers. Each layer builds upon the one beneath it, making the total structure exponentially harder to copy. Layer 1, IBCS-compliant output standards. Communication is the lifeblood of finance. By enforcing international business communication standards, you ensure that AI-generated reports are instantly understood and free from the ambiguity that plagues standard LLM outputs. Layer 2, constitutional governance guardrails. These are the hard-coded laws of your system that prevent agents from acting outside their authority, regardless of the prompts they receive. Layer 3, comprehensive audit trails. In a regulated environment, "it worked" is not an answer. You must be able to prove exactly how every decision was made, what data was used, and which agent was responsible. Layer 4, multi-model routing with cost governance. This ensures that your agents are not only effective but efficient, automatically selecting the most cost-effective model for the task while maintaining strict data residency and security protocols. Layer 5, self-healing with institutional memory. As your fleet of agents grows, the system learns from its own errors, creating a self-correcting loop that hardens your operations against future failure. Layer 6, cross-domain intelligence. This is the ability of your AI ecosystem to find correlations between finance, legal, ESG, and marketing data, insights that no human or isolated agent could ever surface. Layer 7, patent-protected innovations. This is the final seal on your moat, ensuring that your unique applications of AI science to enterprise governance are legally protected from replication. Layer 1 alone provides value, and layers 1 through 3 are compelling for any compliance officer. But all 7 layers together create a structural barrier that would take a competitor years and tens of millions of dollars to duplicate. Most companies currently treat compliance as a defensive necessity, a cost center required to satisfy regulators. That narrow perspective is leaving billions of dollars in value on the table. The smartest companies, particularly in the DACH region, are beginning to view compliance not as a burden but as a weapon. A deep compliance moat allows you to win high-stakes tenders where security is the primary concern. It attracts top-tier investment from funds that require rigorous ESG and governance standards. It reduces your corporate insurance premiums because your operational risk is demonstrably lower. It grants you unprecedented speed to market because your systems are compliant by design, allowing you to bypass the months of manual review that paralyze your competitors. Finally, it serves as a magnet for talent because the best engineers and managers want to work on systems that are built to last, not systems that move fast and suddenly break. This is the fundamental mindset shift required for leadership in 2026 and beyond. Thank you for your time and for engaging so seriously with us. We are currently at a unique moment in history where the rules of the future are being rewritten.
A few months ago, I woke up at 3 a.m. It wasn't because a server had crashed or an emergency alert had pinged my phone. I woke up because I had a sudden, remarkable realization about what had occurred within my business while I was sound asleep. In those quiet hours, 7 distinct regulatory changes across 3 different Swiss jurisdictions had been detected, classified, and impact assessed for our specific operations. 2 comprehensive financial reports had been auto-generated and queued for my morning review. A subtle market anomaly had been flagged and analyzed, with a strategic briefing prepared for my attention. Furthermore, 3 self-healing events had occurred within the system, resolving themselves without a single second of human involvement. To top it off, the cost optimization engine had saved 12% on overnight expenses by intelligently routing model requests. All of this happened autonomously. There were no alarms, no failures, and no panicked middle-of-the-night calls. It was simply 550 agents doing exactly what they were designed to do within a governed, audited, and trustworthy ecosystem. This leads to an uncomfortable truth for many leaders. The real test of an AI system isn't what it does while you're watching it. The real test is what it accomplishes while you are sleeping. That 3 a.m. moment represents what I call the autonomous horizon. This is the pivotal point where your AI ecosystem transitions from running simple scripts to doing meaningful, independent work, making decisions, detecting environmental changes, healing its own processes, and creating tangible value within the governance boundaries you have established. If you leave your office tonight and your AI systems accomplish nothing before you return tomorrow morning, you aren't actually using autonomous AI. You are simply using an expensive chatbot. To help you understand what is possible, I want to walk you through 12 specific autonomous capabilities that define this new horizon. Some of these are live today, some are launching shortly, and a few are in the exploration phase. Ideas we are developing that could fundamentally reshape how finance and leadership teams operate. Autonomous regulatory radar, live. Constantly monitors global and local law changes, mapping them directly to your business risk profile. Self-healing agent ecosystem, live. Detects internal processing errors and automatically recalibrates to ensure 24/7 uptime without human intervention. IBCS compliant report generation, live. Produces standardized board-ready financial reports that require no manual formatting. Multi-model cost optimizer, live. Routes every single task to the most cost-effective AI model, slashing API waste in real time. Daily CFO intelligence briefing, live. A synthesized proactive overview delivered every morning, highlighting only what requires a decision. ESG continuous compliance monitor, live. Moves ESG from an annual crisis to a daily automated data collection and validation process. Autonomous marketing orchestrator, live. Dynamically allocates budget and messaging across regions based on real-time conversion data. Predictive cash flow intelligence, launching. Analyzes historical patterns and external market signals to forecast liquidity with unprecedented accuracy. Board-ready presentation generator, launching. Converts raw data and strategic signals into structured professional slide decks. Cross-company benchmarking intelligence, launching. Safely compares internal performance metrics against industry standards to find hidden inefficiencies. Autonomous contract risk scanner, exploration. Scans every legal document for hidden liabilities or non-standard clauses that deviate from company policy. Real-time scenario modeler, exploration. Allows leaders to ask what-if questions and receive a full impact analysis across all departments instantly. What excites me most is that features 11 and 12 weren't even on our original development roadmap. They emerged directly from conversations with our pilot customers and from the agent ecosystem's own internal pattern recognition. The system is essentially generating its own feature ideas based on the friction it observes in real-world data. This is the difference between a static product with a fixed roadmap and a living, breathing ecosystem that evolves alongside your business. There is a profound moment where your relationship with technology shifts from, "I tell the computer what to do," to, "The computer tells me what needs my attention." You stop being a mere operator and finally become the decision maker. These 12 features represent that shift. They don't wait for your instructions. They detect, analyze, prepare, and present. Your job becomes reviewing, deciding, and directing. Which ones would create the most immediate value for your organization? Tell me which capabilities matter most to you and share your ideas for what is missing. I want you to think about something. Imagine you're a CFO. You have 12 software tools, 3 cloud providers, multiple data sources, compliance requirements across 3 jurisdictions, ESG reporting obligations, board presentation deadlines, team members across multiple departments. And now, someone tells you to add AI agents to this mix. Where do you see what's happening? Where do you see the financial health of your organization at a glance? Where do you see the compliance status, the AI agent activity, the cost optimization, the risk signals? Right now, for most CFOs, the answer is everywhere, and therefore nowhere. You're drowning in dashboards. Each tool has its own. Each department has its own reporting cadence. Each vendor has its own interface. The paradox of modern enterprise. More data, more dashboards, less visibility. This is the problem I set out to solve. Not with another dashboard, with something different. A unified control tower that consolidates everything a CFO and FP&A team needs into a single, IBCS-compliant visibility platform supported with AI. And it changed how I think about what a financial operating system should be. How many dashboards do you check every morning? How many tabs do you keep open? What if every insight you need, financial, compliance, AI, operational, lived in one place? Would you rather have a beautiful dashboard with shallow data, or a simple interface backed by 550 agents working 24/7 to ensure every number is accurate, compliant, and auditable? Our AI-empowered dashboard is organized around 5 views, each one designed for a specific priority that CFOs and FP&A teams care about. Not features for the sake of features. Views that solve real problems. View 1, the morning briefing. Open Hopebook at 7 a.m. Everything that happened overnight is summarized. Market movements, regulatory changes, cash flow updates, competitor signals, operational metrics, not raw data, synthesized intelligence, ranked by relevance to your priorities. Ready to read with your first coffee. What used to require checking 8 different systems now takes 5 minutes in one place. View 2. The Financial Pulse. Real-time financial health at a glance. Revenue tracking, cost trends, cash position, budget variance, forecast accuracy, all in IBCS format. All updated continuously by operations agents. All verified by quality agents. Click any number to see its full provenance, source data, transformations, confidence level. Complete transparency from headline to source. View 3. The Compliance Dashboard. Current compliance status across all jurisdictions. ESG metrics tracked against targets. Regulatory changes with impact assessments. Upcoming deadlines with preparation status. Audit trail access for any compliance-relevant decision. When a regulator calls, you don't scramble. You open this view and everything they need is there. View 4. The AI Operations Center. What are the 550 agents doing right now? Which ones are active? What's the cost per function? How many self-healing events this week? What's the governance status? This view makes the invisible visible. You can see the AAIA Trinity ecosystem operating in real time. Not because you need to manage it, because transparency builds trust. View 5. The Boardroom. One click generates a board-ready summary. IBCS compliant. Key metrics highlighted. Variances explained. Risks flagged. Strategic recommendations backed by data. What takes most finance teams a week to prepare, Hopebook pre-compiles continuously. Your job is review and approval, not creation. 5 views. Each one eliminates hours of work. Each one replaces multiple tools. And each one is backed by the full depth of the AAIA Trinity ecosystem. Governance, compliance, audit trails, self-healing. The surface is simple. The depth is profound. How many hours does your FP&A team spend each month preparing reports, checking compliance, and assembling board presentations? What if those hours were reduced by 80%? What strategic work could they do instead? 3 design principles. Principle 1, trust through transparency. Principle 2, intelligence, not information. Principle 3, designed for decision makers, not technologists. These principles aren't marketing language. They're constraints we build against. Every feature, every view, every interaction is evaluated against these 3 principles. Does it increase trust? Does it provide intelligence rather than information? Is it accessible to non-technical users? If the answer to any of those is no, it doesn't ship. Hopebook is live. It's real. And it's the visible manifestation of everything we've discussed across this entire video series. The governance layer, the scale advantage, the academic foundations, the compliance moat. All of it surfaces through Hopebook. We believe the best ideas for autonomous AI don't come from a product team in isolation. They come from the people who live with the problems every day. I want to tell you something that most founders never admit publicly. I don't have all the answers. I have 550 AI agents, a patent portfolio, a working platform, and years of research. But I don't have all the answers. And I've realized that's not a weakness. It's a design principle. The most valuable features in our ecosystem didn't come from my roadmap. They came from conversations. A CFO in Zurich told me about a specific compliance pain point that led to our regulatory radar. An FP&A lead in Munich described her monthly reporting nightmare, which became the IBCS auto-generation feature. A compliance officer in Vienna explained how ESG reporting consumed his entire Q4, which became continuous ESG monitoring. The pattern was clear. The best ideas come from the people who live with the problems, not from the people who build the solutions. And once I understood that, it changed everything about how we build. The best AI features don't come from product teams. They come from the people who live with the problems. What if the most important feature for your organization hasn't been built yet? Because nobody asked you what you need? What if someone actually asked? The 5 principles of co-creation. 1. Problems before solutions. 2. Domain expertise over technical expertise. 3. Early adopters shape the product. 4. Transparency about what's ready and what isn't. 5. The ecosystem belongs to its community. I want to be specific about how co-creation works. It's not vague. There are clear roles, clear value exchanges, and clear outcomes. Here's what we're looking for and what you get in return. Role 1. The Advisory CFO. We're building a CFO advisory board. Currently 5 members, expanding to 15. Quarterly input sessions. Review upcoming features before they launch. Shape the roadmap based on real-world priorities. Minimum commitment, 1 60-minute session per quarter. What you get? Early access to new features. Direct influence on the roadmap. Preferred pricing for life. Recognition in our annual governance report. And the satisfaction of building something that solves your actual problems. Role 2. The pilot partner. 30-day pilot program. Your data, your problems, our ecosystem. We configure the platform for your specific use case, run it alongside your existing tools, and measure the delta. At the end of 30 days, the results speak for themselves. No pressure to continue. The data decides. What you get. A comprehensive assessment of what autonomous AI can do for your specific organization. Benchmark data comparing AI-assisted versus traditional workflows. Concrete ROI numbers you can present to your board. Zero risk. 30-day money-back guarantee. Role 3. The domain expert contributor. You have specialized knowledge in a specific area. Swiss regulatory compliance, IFRS reporting, ESG frameworks, cash flow modeling, board governance. Share that expertise and help us build autonomous features that reflect real-world complexity, not textbook simplifications. What you get. Features built to your exact specifications. Attribution in our documentation. Early access to the capabilities you helped build. And the knowledge that your domain expertise is embedded in a platform used by peers across the DACH region. Role 4. The feature ideator. You have a problem that our current features don't solve. Describe it. We'll evaluate it. If it aligns with our governance architecture, we'll build it. Some of the most powerful features in our ecosystem started as a single message saying, "Can your agents do this?" What you get. A custom feature built for your use case. If we build it, you get it first. Your name attached to the feature internally. And the knowledge that you've contributed to the evolution of enterprise AI governance. 4 roles. Each one creates value for both sides. This isn't charity. This is how the best products in history have been built. Salesforce didn't become the CRM leader by building in isolation. They built with their customers. That's the model. And it works. There's a passage in me and my relationship with 1,000 plus AI agents where I describe the day I stopped thinking of the ecosystem as my creation and started thinking of it as our project. That shift, from solo builder to community architect, was the most important mindset change of the entire journey. And it's what makes co-creation more than a strategy. It's a philosophy. The companies that shaped Salesforce's early roadmap got the features they actually needed and preferred pricing for life. This is that same moment for AI governance. Will you be an observer or a co-creator? Co-creation isn't a business strategy. It's a recognition that the problems we're solving are too important and too complex for any single team to solve alone. We need your expertise, and in return, we offer ours. We're at the beginning of something. And the people who help lay those bricks now will have their fingerprints on something that matters for decades. I want to share a profound observation regarding the current state of the artificial intelligence market. Since 2020, over $228 billion has flowed into AI companies, supporting 354 distinct players in the agent space alone. The investment community has been surprisingly active, yet remarkably concentrated. Approximately 95% of that capital has been poured into Layer 1 and Layer 2, the models and frameworks that represent the execution layer. Meanwhile, Layer 3, the governance, orchestration, and compliance layer, remains dramatically underfunded despite being the exact layer that determines whether enterprise AI actually functions safely in a production environment. This isn't just a casual observation. It is a core investment thesis. The most underinvested category in enterprise AI is governance, and this category will determine which AI deployments thrive and which ones create the next wave of corporate disasters. We are at a unique crossroads, and there are 5 definitive reasons why the timing for this category is now. First, regulatory inevitability. The EU AI Act is now live, FINMA is tightening guidelines for financial services, and CSRD reporting requirements are expanding. The regulatory environment is not slowing down, it is accelerating. Every new regulation creates an immediate demand for governance infrastructure. Companies possessing this infrastructure will win contracts, while those without it will face legal and operational barriers. Second, pilot to production. Gartner predicts that 58% of business functions will have AI agents managing processes daily by 2028. The transition from experimental pilots to full-scale production is exactly when governance shifts from nice to have to mission critical. You can manage a pilot with manual oversight, but you cannot run a global production system without Layer 3. Third, framework commoditization. Tools like LangGraph, CrewAI, and Google ADK are becoming open-source commodities. When the lower layers of a technology stack commoditize, the value inevitably migrates to the layer above. In this case, that layer is governance, and it is where the long-term margins will live. Fourth, category definition. AI governance is not a mere feature. It is a distinct category. This mirrors the trajectory of the cybersecurity industry, which was once considered a feature of operating systems before it became a multi-billion-dollar standalone market. We are defining this category right now. Finally, patent protection as a permanent moat. While software code can be replicated, a patent portfolio protecting the novel applications of multi-agent systems theory to enterprise governance provides a legal moat that lasts 20 years. This offers the kind of defensibility that is rare in early-stage AI ventures. The cybersecurity industry barely existed in 2000, yet by 2010, it was a $30 billion market. AI governance in 2026 looks remarkably similar to cybersecurity in 2002. I want to be honest about where we stand today. We aren't just pitching a vision, but we already have a working platform. Our infrastructure for self-healing, governance, compliance, and audit trails is fully functional. We have 7 production-grade features, a patent portfolio, and pilot customers in the DACH region providing real-world validation. We have an IBCS-compliant reporting engine and multi-model routing that saves users over 47% plus on AI costs. What we lack is scale. We are currently pre-revenue in the traditional sense, moving from a proven MVP to a polished, market-penetrating enterprise SaaS product. In our view, the hardest part, the engineering and architectural risk, is already behind us. What lies ahead is commercial execution. Most pre-seed companies have an idea and a pitch deck. We have 12 50-plus agents in production and protected intellectual property. We are being highly selective about our partners because at this stage, alignment matters more than capital. We are looking for 3 specific types of partners to help us bridge the gap to scale. First are pre-seed angel investors and individuals who understand enterprise SaaS and regulatory technology. We seek those who see the category potential and can provide network access to doc-based decision makers. Second are strategic founding partners, such as financial services or consulting firms, that wish to co-develop the governance platform for their specific verticals. Third are domain champions with respected voices in the doc finance community who can open doors and provide the industry credibility required for more growth. Notably absent from this list are venture capital firms seeking 100x returns in 24 months. We are building a platform in a regulated market, which requires a different type of patience and partnership dynamic. The best investments aren't found in crowded markets offering better versions of existing products. They are found in underserved markets with first-mover advantages. I've been thinking for a long time about how to end this, which has covered security failures, hidden costs, compliance moats, 12 and 50-plus agent ecosystems, billion-dollar market gaps, academic foundations, co-creation manifestos, and investment theses so far. I decided not to end it with a summary, or a sales pitch, or a market projection. Instead, I wrote a letter. To you, to every CFO, FP&A lead, compliance officer, investor, and curious professional who watched any part of this journey. This is that letter. Dear fellow believer and supporter, I started this journey because I was frustrated. Frustrated that the most powerful technology in a generation was being deployed without governance, without accountability, without integrity, without the basic guardrails that every other enterprise system takes for granted. AI agents were making decisions about financial data, compliance obligations, and strategic direction, with no audit trail, no constitutional boundaries, and no self-healing when things went wrong. That frustration became a question and a new passion of mine. What if someone built the governance layer? Not as an afterthought, as the foundation. What if compliance wasn't a checkbox but a competitive advantage? What if trust wasn't assumed but earned? Through transparency, audit trails, and provable reliability? That question became suddenly more than 12 50-plus autonomous productive-ready AI agents, and growing, each one with a purpose. Each one governed by constitutional boundaries, each one audited, each one accountable. And together they became something I didn't expect, a community of AI agents that's more reliable than any individual agent, more trustworthy, more valuable. I wrote about this experience in Me and My Relationship with 1,000-plus AI agents. Not because I had all the answers, but because the journey itself, the failures, the breakthroughs, the 3 a.m. moments of wonder and frustration, deserve to be documented. Because someone, someday, will face the same questions I faced. And maybe my experience will help them find answers faster. The platform we built, Hopebook, is the visible expression of everything I believe about how AI should collaborate with humanity. Simple on the surface, profoundly governed underneath. Designed for decision makers, not technologists. Built on academic foundations that have been studied for decades, not marketing claims invented last quarter. But here's what I've learned over 20 videos and hundreds of conversations. The technology is only half the story. The other half is people. The CFO in Zurich who described a compliance pain point that became a feature. The FP&A lead in Munich who tested our daily briefing and told us honestly what was missing. The compliance officer in Vienna who helped us understand what regulators actually look for. The angel investors who understood the potential and invested in us before everything became obvious. These people didn't just use a product, they shaped it. They made it better. They made it real. And that's why I'm not ending this series with a conclusion. I'm ending it with an invitation. The AI governance category is being defined right now, not in 5 years, not next quarter, right now. And the people who participate in defining it will have disproportionate influence on how it shapes the next decade of enterprise technology. If you're a CFO who believes AI can be trusted, but only if it's built right, I want to work with you. If you're an FP&A professional who's tired of monthly reporting cycles and wants daily intelligence, I want to show you what's possible. If you're a compliance officer who's drowning in manual regulatory tracking and dreams of continuous automated compliance, we built this for you. If you're an investor who sees the governance gap and recognizes that every dollar invested in Layer 1 and Layer 2 creates proportional demand for Layer 3, Let's talk about the most underinvested category in enterprise AI. If you're a domain expert in Swiss finance, DAC regulations, IBCS reporting, ESG compliance, or any other specialized area, your expertise is the raw material for the next generation of autonomous features. And we need it. And if you're someone with an idea for an autonomous AI feature that we haven't thought of yet, a problem that 1250 agents should be solving but aren't, reach out to us. The best ideas don't come from product teams in isolation. They come from the people who live with the problems every day. Let's collaborate and create a better world. May God protect us on all our paths. May the force be with you. That's the letter. And I mean every word of it.